when you're traveling, some of your most impactful experiences are going to happen when you say yes to a stranger. I swear by that, okay? Hand me a Bible. Hand me a holy book, because I swear on it. This might be a little controversial, so eat me up in the comments if you wish. Do you feel like luxury travel is always being pushed down your throat by all of the social channels that we use? If you're a person that feels like you wish that your travel really reflected your values and beliefs, like wanting to connect with people, wanting to learn about local issues, and really exploring local life and culture, then I think I have the travel solution for you in 2024. So if you're interested, come and walk with me through this video. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Naisha. I also go by Nai, and I'm a Black sabbatical traveler. This channel is to talk about post-pandemic adulting and really trying to encourage other young Black people to lean into their curiosity as much as possible and become bold enough to explore the world and themselves. So that's the journey I'm on, and I would love to take you all with me. I watched a lovely YouTuber called Kiana Naomi, and she made a video called How I Travel in My 20s, or How to Travel in Your 20s, something along those lines. And I thought her reflections were really cool and insightful, and I just wanted to add my 2 cents to the pot. So if you want to watch her video, I'll link it below, and you can kind of go and show love in that video too. So after watching Kiana's video, I was thinking, like, I feel like we have been taught to travel all wrong. Like, whoever has been feeding us narratives about how to travel, I'm not sure we're doing it the right way, okay? I would love to see a world where luxe travel isn't the only thing that we prioritize, that we share, that we yearn for, but that we also are really excited about experiences that allow us to lean into our curiosity and also learn while we travel. Is that like going off on a limb? I don't know. Well, this is for the people who want to learn when they travel. So thank you for being here. So for folks who want to travel in a different way, if you want to travel being led by curiosity in order to learn things as you explore the world, I have 4 steps/tips that can help you just travel in a different way. And so they're tips and suggestions, and I hope they help you as you plan your trips for 2024. Tip number 1 is to lean into your curiosity while curating your travel. Okay, that's kind of like the theme of this entire video, but that's just step number 1. So as an exercise, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Close your eyes, and I want you to think about something that you've been curious about this last year, or you've always been curious about. Maybe it's like you wish you could always learn how to make ramen in Japan, or you're really obsessed with love and basketball. You're really obsessed with love and basketball, and you wish you could visit all the places from the film. Maybe that's more relevant for like Insecure, okay? So replace our love and basketball with Insecure. Maybe you could be curious about a family recipe that you've always wanted to learn, but like from your aunt who lives in the place that your family is from, or that your family is in large numbers, but you don't live there. So think about something you're curious about. And then I want you to just imagine here. Imagine me reaching through the camera, the computer, okay? Reaching through the computer. This is not relaxing at all. I'm so sorry. Reaching through the computer and handing you $5,000. 5 racks. And I told you the only condition is that you spend this money on something that you're curious about. And I want you to just envision, like, how would I spend the $5,000 on this curiosity? Does that mean a bus ride? Does that mean a plane trip? Does that mean a trip on a boat? Does it pay for your lodgings, your hotel, your hostel? Does it pay for activities and excursions? Does it pay for your cooking class? with the Japanese ramen chefs? Does it pay for a specially BTS guided tour by Issa Rae herself in California of the places that they filmed Insecure? You know, just think out loud here. Think crazy. And I want you to use that imaginative metric to think about how you want to travel, because we let the apps tell us that we need to see this and that and the third, and we need to go here and there and take our pictures, when in reality, we should be using the things that we're curious about, the things that we're interested in, the things that we're passionate about to guide the way that we travel, because it's our money, okay, that we're pouring into this experience. So why not get an experience that'll be memorable forever, right? That's my idea. So think about that the next time you're planning a trip, whether it's solo or with friends, or you're signing up for a group trip. Like, have I always wanted to explore the nature of the Philippines? You know, if you find a group trip that's like 3 days of hiking in the Philippines and then other 4 days are, you know, city excursions, like those 3 days actually tap into what you've been curious about. So it might be worth it to look into an experience that allows you to feel like, wow, I'm making some small part of me happy because I decided to use something I'm curious about to fuel the experience that I'm going to have in this place. So tip number 1 is to lean into your curiosity and use that to plan your next traveling experience. Tip number 2, idea number 2, is to let go. Let it be free. Let go of being photo op tourists. I think that having all these applications that force us to be so much into capturing everything really removes us from having good experiences. Like, there are some people, I'm not saying it's you, but there are some people who only go places because they need the photo in this place for their look, or because they want to impress other people. And maybe it's something that everybody and their mother takes pictures of. This might be a little controversial, so eat me up in the comments if you wish, okay? I would love to hear you guys' opinion on this part. But I think, you know, there's always this debate, like tourist versus traveler. Does it make sense to compare? Does it not? Arbitrary to me. It's like, you know, I don't need to give my 2 cents on the wording, but going places to only take photos, let's dead that, okay? Let's throw it in the trash. Throw it to the side, to the left, to the left. I am a person whose most of my high school and college life was captured on Fujifilm disposable cameras and film. So I eventually invested in an actual film camera, color of course, but I never had a nice phone. So anytime we went anywhere, I would only be able to rely on 30 pictures worth of pictures of documentation for an experience. And most of my high school and college life is captured in that way. I actually have very few photos from high school and college that are digital that I've taken because I just didn't have, the tools to take them. So a lot of that part of my life has been captured on analog, and I don't do it anymore because it's expensive. Now, the film has shot up, but I say that to say that, when you only have 28 exposures on a roll of film, you take pictures differently. I think you take pictures differently. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm not wrong. When you have 28 exposures, you are very selective about the kind of photos that you're capturing. And I think that we should really think about, I'm using a picture taking analogy, of course. I think that we should think about our trips as these analog versions of documentation of our life and experiences. So if you had a digital, you just take pictures of everything. You just, you no filter and nothing, anything goes. But when you have 28 exposures for a 30-day experience, you're only going to capture what matters. And so I think that people should approach travel the way they would approach using 28 exposures on a really exciting trip. Like, what would you capture if you only had 28 exposures? Like, what experiences would you want to capture using those 28 exposures? And I think that we should live our lives like that, but we should also like make sure our travels are like that too. Like, we want to really have the creme de la creme, exciting experiences. Like, it's not about taking photos. Things are going to get documented, but it's not necessarily about taking the photos, but it's about having these one of a lifetime, one of a kind, unique experiences that you'll value forever. And so if you think about your travels as an analog experience versus a digital experience, it might change the kind of experiences that you do have. So that's food for thought there. That's tip number 2, is to think about capturing your life in analog, and what would you wish you could freeze in time. And thinking about working towards those experiences instead of prioritizing photo ops, like prioritizing things that you'd want to capture in your heart forever. Tip number 3 is to elevate yourself in your brain and think of yourself as a global citizen. Like, maybe not an ambassador. You don't have to be an ambassador. Think of yourself as a global citizen. I think what's really unique about young people right now, especially my age, like I'm 26. I just turned 26. The people who are in your 20s, early 30s, like, we are gonna be the next older people. Think about that. We're in the younger range of adulthood right now. We don't have a lot of say over what happens and how the world works, and, in a very big scale ways. Like, we can, of course, come together with community and work together on things, but people don't always trust us with institutions that can actually change things. But if we think about ourselves as global citizens, like, the travel becomes different. The travel becomes very different. If we think about ourselves as global citizens now, like, when we are old enough, if we survive, if the world doesn't entirely burn down because of climate change, when we become the older people that run stuff, like, we will have been the younger people that travel to get to know, like, other global issues, to connect with other people, to really learn about how we're interconnected with folks. Like, imagine the next set of older people if they were traveling like that while they were young. I mean, give us the keys. You know what I'm saying? Give us the keys to the city. Give us the keys to the world. It's in good hands. State Farm. Allstate. Okay? That's my thought. If we treat travel as, like, be people who are exploring the world as global citizens, I think it allows us to learn a lot more about other people, learn about political issues and struggles that local communities are facing versus, like, countrywide issues. And when you think about how the world is going right now, things are up in flames, multiple genocides happening at once. Okay? Multiple genocides happening at once. There is a way in which we are being expected to act like everything is good when it's not, because people who lead institutions and corporations are, like, nervous about what's going on in their position. Like, imagine if we acted how we are now, but using that energy to travel as global citizens. Imagine how that will impact the way we are older, like how we will run things when we're older. So I think that kind of using travel to jumpstart your life as an ambassador, but a soft global citizen, of course, like, really helps our worldliness and being aware of how we're interconnected and how many things are impacting the same types of people all around the world. I think that there are things that are publicized that we can see online, but there are so many things in languages that we don't know. They're not in English or whatever your dominant language is. And if you go to a place and the issues that are there are not being publicized, like all of a sudden you're learning all this really cool new information to understand systems of oppression, to understand how we're interconnected and interrelated in the world. And so I think using your travel to build on our already growing sense of being global citizens is a great way to put play to work. And I think it's like a friendly way of doing so too. So that's tip number 3 is like, pretend you're an ambassador, pretend you're really fueling your sense of global citizenship and see how that changes how you see everything around you, the questions that you ask locals or folks that you meet that really know and understand the local culture. It might turn your entire way of understanding the world like completely upside down. Think about right now all of the creators who've been talking about the global issues that are happening right now because they went to the place and saw it with their own eyes and came back to tell the story. Maybe we could travel and be global citizens, but unofficial, but like official, because we ordained it, you know what I mean? Tip number 4 is to throw stranger danger out the window. Okay, leave stranger danger at home when you're going on your explorations through the world. It sounds a little bit crazy. Okay, I get that. It sounds a little crazy. But I think the key to traveling in a different way is to say yes to strangers. Say yes to experiences that people invite you to, and those people are very likely going to be strangers, especially if you're going somewhere you've never been to before. Now, please don't in 5 months come back to this video and say, oh my goodness, I watched your video, Naisha, and you told me to say yes to strangers and to forget stranger danger, and I had this terrible thing happen to me. Listen closely. Listen to your gut, follow your intuition, and say yes to what feels right, okay? But before you start traveling, you gotta practice. Listening to your gut versus listening to fear, because fear can feel like your gut sometimes, you know what I mean? But I want you to leave stranger danger behind at home. I know we've all been raised in the US, which is like low-key a very dangerous place to live. Stranger danger, Don't follow the man with the candy in the car, in the van, We've been raised that way. So it makes sense why we're attached to it, but I just want you to release it. Because when you're traveling, some of your most impactful experiences are going to happen when you say yes to a stranger. I swear by that, okay? Hand me a Bible. Hand me a holy book, because I swear on it. I can tell you from experience, some of my most exciting experiences have happened because I said yes to somebody that I knew for less than 24 hours. Said yes to an invitation, or said yes to a date, or said yes to an event that they were going to. When you say yes to a stranger, one of 2 things could happen. You could end up partying, or you could end up at a super local experience that makes you learn something. I feel like those are really the say yes kind of falls under two categories for me. You either end up in a party place that you would have never known about. It's not on Airbnb, it's not on the blogs, it's not on TikTok, it's not anywhere you can search it. It's like something uber local that you just would have had to find out about. And somebody you met said, hey, there's this very specific experience happening on tal dia, on whatever day it is at this time. Like, do you want to come with me? Or we're going somewhere after this event. Do you want to come with us? And you will go to the most exciting experience that you've ever had in your whole life. Trust me. And usually that person is a local or somebody who's foreign, who's not local, but said yes to a different person who is local and is now bringing you along for the experience. So that will happen. Or you'll end up in somebody's grandmother's home eating food, experiencing something super cultural or learning about something super intense. The grandma's telling stories. And next thing you know, she lived through this very intense period of the country's history that you're hearing from the eye perspective because grandma just made some special dish and now you get to eat it for free because somebody said, hey, when I come to my grandma's house, like we're doing X, Y, and Z this Saturday, and you were like, sure, why not? And now you're sitting in grandma's house on the floor with 1,000 cousins, eating some very nice seasoned food, listening to stories that ultimately lead you to understand something very important to that location's political story or their cultural history or what have you. The gamble is small, but it's a risk you have to take. You need to, number one, practice listening to your intuition. Number two, when you go out in the world, whether you took a bus or a plane or a boat, whatever you took, you say yes to a stranger, listening to your gut. That is imperative. Listen to your own body, your own systems. Listen to your gut, your intuition, because your intuition is going to tell you, hey, this is a scary thing, but let's go for it, brother. It's going to tell you, let's go for it. And you listen, and you're going to come back home with some crazy stories and some new experiences and memories unlocked. I promise. And if you talk to any experienced traveler or new traveler, they'll tell you like, oh, man, I just said yes to some invitation somewhere and it changed my life. Or I met my husband, or my partner, or I met my now best friend, or now I know my purpose in life because I went to this place and I was like, wow, heavily impacted. All right. So just say yes to some strangers, put stranger danger, leave it back at home. Okay? When you checked in at your gate, leave it there. Okay? With Delta Airlines, leave it there. Leave it on the plane. Don't take it with you on your trip. But please listen to your intuition because trust me, if you listen to yourself and take some risks, connecting with people that will connect you to the culture of the place that you're traveling in, you won't regret it. Okay? Swear. Those are my 4 tips for the day to think about really how to use your curiosity to lead you in travel. And I really hope this connects me to other young people who want to travel in a different way, that want to travel to be curious and learn and explore the world and themselves. I think there's more of us out there. I'm trying to find you. Okay. If you want to hear more about these kinds of topics, I have another video called How I Took a Gap Year at 24, which is really a gap semester. So please watch that video. It's about if you want to kind of see more about what it looks like to lean into your curiosity. I kind of decided that I wanted to learn how to build natural houses, and then I just went for it. So that video is there. I'll link it below. The next video I'd like to make, I want to cover journaling prompts that might help us explore what we're curious about so that we can kind of go about our travel in different ways. So let me know in the comments if that's something you would like to see. It's something I'd like to do. I'm really into journaling right now, so thinking about planning my next video to be in that way. Please leave me a comment, definitely subscribe. And if you're interested in traveling in different ways, but you want to do it in a group, I actually host group trips. So you can fill out the form below. It's an interest form. I run group trips to Colombia. So if you want to be on the list for any future trips, just fill out the interest form below and I'll have your email so I can let you know when we'll be traveling next. So thank you for watching this video and hope to see you soon. Remember to stay curious out there, guys.